All right, so we're back for another deep dive. And today we're going to be exploring the personalities that shape the entrepreneurial landscape.
Sounds exciting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We've got this fascinating document. Actually, it's a university level course document on entrepreneurial ecosystems. And I'm really looking forward to unpacking it with you.
Yeah, me too. There's always so much to learn about what makes entrepreneurs tick, you know, what drives them, what makes them successful.
For sure. So I guess our listeners out there, have you ever wondered what kind of entrepreneur you might be? Like what's your entrepreneurial personality? Well, we're gonna be diving into that today with all these different entrepreneur personality types.
It's a great question. You know, it's not about fitting into a box perfectly, but understanding these different approaches can really be a game changer, you know? It's like having a map of the entrepreneurial world helps you navigate your own path
Yeah.
and even see challenges before they pop up.
Oh yeah, for sure. And speaking of challenges, I think it makes sense to start with one of the most well-known personality types, the innovators.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So these are the ones who dream up those world-changing ideas, like Steve Jobs with the first iPhone or Larry Page and Sergey Brin with Google.
Right. They're obsessed with disrupting the status quo, pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
creating something entirely new. That kind of relentless passion you see in people like Bill Gates, that's a hallmark of the innovator.
Yeah. And it sounds amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like changing the world. But it also sounds like it comes at a price.
Oh, absolutely. The source material actually calls it the innovator's dilemma. It's this tricky balancing act between creating something truly groundbreaking and making sure it catches on with the market.
Oh, wow.
It's like walking a tightrope, between revolutionary change and market viability.
So you can have the best idea in the world, but
It means nothing.
if nobody wants it.
If it doesn't connect with people. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's not just enough to have that brilliant idea. You got to have that grit to see it through,
Right.
but find the funding to overcome resistance and to convince people that your vision is worth embracing.
You have to get people on board. Otherwise, you're just a dreamer with a concept.
Yeah. Okay. So then that leads us perfectly to our next personality type,
Mm.
the hustler.
Hmm.
And what I find really interesting here is how this course document highlights the importance of scaling.
Yeah, that's key. Think about someone like Mark Cuban, right? Started small, selling trash bags, stamps, classic hustle. But he didn't stop there.
Right.
He had that drive to scale up, turn those small wins into bigger opportunities.
Right.
And that's really the hallmark of the hustler.
So it's almost like for our listener out there, if you think you're drawn to that hustle, think about those early wins as stepping stones.
Exactly.
And how can you leverage each one
Leverage
to propel yourself forward?
keep that momentum going.
Yeah, it's like that snowball effect. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's easy to get caught up in that hustle and burn out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can see that.
The source material actually cautions against this, that hustlers get so fixated on working harder that they forget to work smarter.
Oh, interesting.
Right. They avoid seeking support or raising capital, thinking they can do it all themselves.
I can definitely see that happening.
That's a recipe for burnout.
So it's about working hard, but also strategically. Yeah. Okay. So maybe a bit of that researcher mentality could be helpful for the hustler,
Absolutely.
even if it seems kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next personality type, which is the imitator.
Mm,
Now, I know that might sound negative at first,
right.
but this is less about copying and more about strategic adaptation.
Exactly.
So you're taking an existing idea, but elevating it.
Think Alibaba versus Amazon. Alibaba came into the e-commerce scene later, but they didn't just copy Amazon's model.
Okay.
They observed, adapted, and ultimately carved out their own massive market share by adding unique features.
Oh, wow.
Right, and functionalities that resonated with their audience.
So the key takeaway is that imitation, done right,
Okay.
is a form of innovation. So they took what worked and they said, how can we make this even better?
Exactly.
So it makes you wonder, could a skilled imitator also need a touch of the innovator in them to not just improve upon the original, but maybe to anticipate where the market's going?
That's a great point. And, it highlights the interconnectedness of these personality types.
Yeah.
A successful entrepreneur rarely embodies just one archetype perfectly.
Right.
It's about understanding the strengths of each type and blending them strategically.
So let's say our listener is intrigued by this imitator concept. Like,
Yeah.
what advice can they take away to avoid those pitfalls, like getting stuck in that comparison with the original?
The course document really emphasizes differentiation. Yes, you're learning from what's already out there,
Right.
but how can you add your own unique twist? What value can you bring that sets you apart?
So it's about finding your own little niche within that bigger market.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So now let's move on to the research.
Oh.
So we're talking about those data-driven entrepreneurs who really want to minimize risk
Mm-hmm.
by gathering as much information as possible before taking action.
Due diligence.
Yeah, that measure twice, cut once
Mm.
mentality, right?
And what's fascinating is that the source material actually uses Albert Einstein as an example of a researcher entrepreneur.
What? Okay.
Think about it. He spent years engrossed in research and analysis,
Right.
and that led to groundbreaking scientific theories that changed our understanding of the universe.
Right.
Same methodical approach can be applied to business.
I never thought of Einstein as an entrepreneur before.
Right.
But now that you say it, it's the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It really shows how important that deep knowledge and that thorough analysis is, even in a field that's often associated with intuition and risk.
And today, you see that same research-driven approach in entrepreneurs like Elon Musk.
Right.
His ventures into electric vehicles, space exploration, AI, it's all fueled by that commitment to research and development.
But even with all that meticulous planning and analysis, there's got to be the potential for, I don't know, maybe getting stuck in the details.
Oh, absolutely. Analysis paralysis. That's
Yeah.
a big one.
So how do you get past that? What does the course document say?
Setting clear goals and timelines is crucial. You need those milestones to keep you moving forward.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes it's about acknowledging that you'll never have 100% of the information.
Oh, right.
There's always going to be some uncertainty.
Yeah.
But calculated risks are part of the journey.
Okay, so it's finding that balance
Yeah,
between information gathering and decisive action.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So speaking of decisive action, let's wrap up this first round of personalities with the buyer.
Right.
So this is the entrepreneur who sees potential in existing businesses
Mm-hmm.
and they acquire them rather than starting from scratch.
It's a different approach. It requires a blend of financial savvy and entrepreneurial vision.
So they've got to have that vision to see what that business could be.
The ultimate example is Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. He built his empire by identifying those undervalued companies with strong fundamentals, acquired them, and then used his expertise to unlock their full potential.
So it's almost like instead of being the one to create something brand new, you're looking for those hidden gems
Yeah,
out there that maybe just need a little guidance or a fresh perspective.
exactly.
And then you can help them reach their full potential.
Yeah.
It's a whole different skill set.
Spotting value where others don't,
Yeah.
analyzing market trends, understanding financial statements. It's a different game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I imagine with the buyer, due diligence is absolutely critical.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how do you advise navigating that?
Yeah.
What are the red flags? What are the questions our listeners should be asking if they're thinking, hey, maybe this is me. Maybe I want to acquire a business.
The source material really stresses thorough financial analysis. It's not just about looking at the current state of the business, but projecting future earnings. Identifying any hidden liabilities, any operational inefficiencies. It's about calculated risk, not blind leaps of faith.
So we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah, we have.
We've got the innovator, the hustler, the imitator, the researcher, now the
So
buyer.
5 distinct approaches.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how diverse this world is.
And this is just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface.
Oh, wow.
There are so many other personality types that thrive in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. But what's important to remember is that none of these are mutually exclusive.
That's a great point.
You don't have to pick just one.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the core strengths of each.
And recognizing which ones resonate with you.
Exactly. With your natural tendencies, your way of approaching challenges.
Yeah, so it's not about picking one and sticking to it.
Not her.
It's about creating your own blend.
Your own entrepreneurial cocktail, so to speak.
I like that. Entrepreneurial cocktail.
And with that in mind, we'll be right back to explore even more fascinating personality types. Welcome back to our deep dive into these entrepreneurial personalities. We've explored 5 distinct types. But as we continue, remember, this is more about recognizing patterns than fitting into boxes. You know,
Right.
you might find that you resonate with bits and pieces of many of them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's what makes it so interesting, right? It's not about saying, I'm this type and only this type.
Exactly.
It's about understanding all these different approaches and how they can all work together.
And speaking of working together, our next personality type is all about that. It's the leader.
Oh,
Now, this isn't about bossing people around, it's about inspiring and guiding a team toward a shared vision. Think Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey. They built their success not just on their own ideas, but on their ability to empower others.
Yeah, the course material actually makes a great point about how effective leadership isn't about barking orders, but about creating a sense of ownership within the team.
Right. It's about fostering a culture of achievement where everyone feels valued
Mhm.
and empowered to contribute their own unique skills.
Okay. But even the most inspiring leaders, they've got to face challenges, right?
Oh, for sure. The source document actually cautions against the trap of micromanaging, where that desire for control ends up stifling creativity
Right. Yeah.
within the team.
So it's about knowing when to step back and let the team take ownership.
Trust your team, delegate effectively, create an environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing ideas and taking risks.
So it's a balance, like so many things in the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot.
Okay. So speaking of problem solving, let's move on to our next personality type, the problem solver. So these are the entrepreneurs who see a need and they just jump right in to find that solution.
Driven by that desire to make things better, fix what's broken.
Yeah, they see a problem and they're like, I can fix that.
Exactly. A great example is Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She saw a problem, women struggling to find comfortable, flattering undergarments, and she created a solution that took the world by storm.
Yeah, and it's amazing how these problem solvers can turn those everyday frustrations into these huge opportunities.
But problem solving can be messy. It's rarely a straight line from problem to solution.
Right. You're going to hit those roadblocks. There are going to be unexpected obstacles along the way.
Absolutely.
So resilience has got to be key.
Oh, for sure. The source material actually emphasizes that problem solvers need to be adaptable, persistent,
Okay.
willing to experiment, willing to iterate until they find a solution that works.
So they can't give up easily.
No, they have to embrace the uncertainty
Hmm.
because the path to a solution is rarely clear from the start.
Yeah, it sounds like they need a bit of that hustler spirit we talked about earlier.
Yeah, a little bit of that grit goes a long way.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, now let's shift gears a bit to a personality type that's all about deal making and navigating those complexities of business. The negotiator.
Oh, the negotiators. They excel at finding those win-win solutions, securing partnerships, getting things done.
Yeah, it's almost like they're the diplomats of the entrepreneurial world.
Exactly. They're masters of communication, persuasion,
Hmm.
but also strategic thinkers who understand the importance of building relationships.
Okay, so they're not just smooth talkers. They actually have that substance behind it.
Right. They have to establish credibility.
Hmm.
The source material emphasizes that successful negotiation isn't just about getting what you want.
Okay.
It's about creating those mutually beneficial partnerships that lead to long-term success.
So a good deal isn't just about winning, it's about creating value.
Exactly. For everyone involved.
All right, that makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Now, let's move on to a personality type that might not be as flashy as some of the others, but is essential for any successful venture. The organizer.
Oh, yeah, the organizers, they bring order to chaos,
Mm-hmm.
creating systems and processes that ensure everything runs smoothly.
They're like the architects of efficiency, right?
Exactly. They might not be coming up with the big ideas,
Right.
but they're the ones making sure those ideas can be executed.
So they're the ones who take that dream and turn it into a reality.
They make it happen. The source material emphasizes their meticulous approach.
Okay.
They understand that a well-run business requires clear workflows, defined roles, systems for tracking progress.
Right. It's all about those systems.
It's about putting the right structures in place. But there's a danger of too much organization.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can get too bogged down in the details, lose that flexibility.
Exactly. The source material points out that organizers need to be adaptable, refine their systems as needed. It's about finding that balance between structure and agility.
Okay, so those systems have to be robust, but also adaptable.
They have to evolve with the business.
That makes sense. Now, let's talk about a personality type that's often associated with creativity and innovation. The visionary.
The visionaries. They see the world differently, imagining possibilities that others might not even consider. They connect seemingly disparate ideas and trends to create a compelling vision for the future.
So they're the big picture thinkers.
Exactly. Think Walt Disney. Right. Creating a world of imagination and entertainment that continues to capture hearts generations later.
Yeah, and it's not just about having that vision. It's about inspiring others to buy into it.
Exactly. The source material highlights the importance of communication and storytelling for visionaries. It's not enough to have the grand vision. You need to articulate it in a way that resonates with people, that ignites their passion.
So it's about turning that vision into a tangible goal.
A shared mission that everyone can rally behind.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But even with the clearest vision, there are going to be challenges along the way.
Oh, absolutely. Unexpected obstacles, the need to adapt.
So how does a visionary deal with that?
Their ability to inspire and motivate becomes crucial. They need to maintain that enthusiasm, that sense of purpose, even when faced with setbacks.
Okay, so it's about keeping everyone on board, keeping that momentum going.
Exactly. And speaking of purpose, our next personality type is driven by a desire to make a positive impact on the world, the change maker.
Oh, interesting.
These entrepreneurs see business as a force for good, a way to address social or environmental issues, create a more equitable, sustainable future.
So they're not just in it for the profit. They want to make a real difference.
They're passionate, compassionate, driven by a deep sense of purpose.
Okay, that's pretty inspiring. Do you have an example of a change maker?
Think Blake Mycoskie, founder of Tom S. Shoes. He built a business model that provides shoes to children in need for every pair purchase.
Wow, so he's actually using his business to make a tangible difference.
Exactly. That's the essence of the change maker.
And I imagine it can't be easy to balance profit with purpose, especially when you're just starting out.
You're right. The source material acknowledges those challenges.
Okay.
Changemakers often need to be incredibly resourceful, resilient, finding creative ways to fund their ventures and measure their impact.
So it's about proving that a business can be both profitable and socially responsible.
Exactly. Creating a win-win for both the business and the cause they're championing.
Right, that's pretty amazing.
Mm.
Now let's move on to a personality type that thrives on bringing new ideas to life. The creator.
The creators, driven by a passion to express themselves, to make something beautiful, functional, impactful.
Whether it's art, design, technology, they're bringing those ideas into the world.
They see the world through a unique lens, finding inspiration in unexpected places.
Like Steve Jobs and his obsession with design.
Exactly. He didn't just want to create functional products, he wanted to create objects of desire.
Yeah, he wanted to make things that people would love.
That's the mark of a true creator. And the source material emphasizes the importance of nurturing that creativity, staying inspired, cultivating curiosity, embracing experimentation.
Okay, so it's about constantly pushing those creative boundaries.
Exactly. But it's also about learning to deal with criticism, because not every creation will be met with universal acclaim.
Right, you have to have a thick skin.
You have to be able to take that feedback and use it to grow.
Okay, that's important. Now let's talk about a personality type that's all about building a solid foundation.
The builder.
The builders, they're methodical, strategic, patient. They understand that creating a successful business is a marathon, not a sprint.
So they're in it for the long haul.
They're willing to put in the work, the dedication, to create something lasting. Think Henry Ford. His revolutionary assembly line production methods
Oh, yeah.
transformed the automotive industry, paved the way for mass production.
It's about building something that will stand the test of time.
Exactly. The source material highlights their focus on systems, infrastructure.
Okay.
They invest in the foundations of their business, technology, supply chains, human capital.
Right, they're not cutting corners.
They're playing the long game, not afraid to make those short-term sacrifices for long-term gains.
So they have to have that discipline, that patience.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of new ideas,
Right.
but the builder needs to stay focused on the fundamentals. Okay, so it's about laying that groundwork for sustainable growth.
That's the key. Now let's shift focus to a personality type that's all about connecting the dots and bringing people together. The connector.
The connectors, they're the networkers, the collaborators.
The social butterflies of the business world. They thrive on building relationships, fostering that sense of community.
Okay, so they see those opportunities where others might just see chaos.
Exactly. The source material highlights their unique ability to bridge gaps, create synergies.
Oh, wow.
They introduce people who might benefit from knowing each other. They facilitate collaborations, foster a spirit of shared purpose.
It's almost like they're the glue that holds the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem together.
They bring people together, create that sense of belonging and support.
Yeah, and that can be invaluable, especially for someone who's just starting out.
Right, having that network, that community.
Yeah, but I can also see how it might be easy for a connector to get spread too thin.
Oh, that's a real danger. Trying to maintain that vast network.
All right, you can get caught up in the social aspect and lose sight of your own goals.
The source material cautions against becoming a connector without a cause.
Okay.
It's important to be strategic with those networking efforts, making sure those connections align with your goals.
All right. So it's about building a network that's not just wide, but also deep.
Meaningful connections, that's what matters.
That makes sense. Now let's wrap up our exploration of personalities with a type that's often associated with risk-taking, the gambler.
The gamblers. Comfortable with uncertainty, trusting their gut instincts, willing to make big bets.
'Cause they're not afraid to take a chance.
They're often pioneers, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, challenging conventional wisdom. Think Richard Branson.
Oh yeah, he's a perfect example.
Right. Building his empire on those audacious ventures.
But it's not just about recklessness, right?
No, the source material highlights the importance of calculated risk-taking for gamblers,
Right.
weighing those potential rewards against the risks, having contingency plans in place,
So they're not just throwing caution to the wind.
and being able to bounce back from setbacks because not every gamble pays off.
Yeah, they have to have that resilience.
It's about embracing uncertainty, accepting that failure is sometimes part of the process.
Okay, so there's a fine line between calculated risk-taking and recklessness.
Absolutely. And that's where the gambler's ability to assess risk and manage their emotions becomes crucial.
So they need to be able to stay calm and focused, even when the stakes are high.
That's key. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this segment, exploring a range of entrepreneurial personalities from the leader to the organizer, the change maker, and now the gambler.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
And remember, these are just archetypes. In reality, most entrepreneurs embody a blend of these types.
Right.
The key is understanding your own unique mix and leveraging it to achieve your goals.
So it's about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses and finding ways to compensate for those areas where you might need a little extra help.
And that's where collaboration comes in, right?
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people who have complementary skills, building a strong team, finding mentors, tapping into those networks of support.
So even if you're not a natural-born leader, you can still find success by surrounding yourself with people who are.
Exactly. And the same goes for any of these personality types.
It's about building that dream team.
It's about recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone.
Wow. So we're back. And I got to say this whole deep dive into these entrepreneurial personalities has been pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It's like we've taken this whirlwind tour of all these different approaches to building a business.
It really highlights the diversity of the entrepreneurial world, right? All these different paths to success.
And that's what I find so fascinating. Like, we've talked about everything from those data-driven researchers to those risk-taking gamblers, from those meticulous organizers to the big picture visionaries. It's incredible.
And that's the beauty of it, right? There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
All right, so if our listeners out there thinking, okay, this is great, but how do I figure out which of these personalities really resonates with Emmy? Like, what advice does this source material give for that self-discovery?
Well, it really encourages a process of self-reflection and honest assessment. Think about your past experiences, your successes, your failures. What motivated you? What challenges did you actually enjoy tackling?
Yeah.
What came naturally to you? What did you struggle with?
So it's about looking back at your own experiences.
Exactly. Those answers can provide some really valuable insights into your entrepreneurial personality.
It's like a treasure hunt within yourself.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. It's about uncovering those hidden strengths.
But what if you look back and you're like, well, I'm kind of drawn to aspects of multiple personalities. Like, can you be a blend of, say, a hustler and a researcher?
Absolutely. In fact, most successful entrepreneurs embody a mix of these archetypes. The key is understanding how those different personalities interact within you. For example, a hustler's drive and a researcher's analytical skills, that can be a powerful combination.
Well,
Or a visionary's big picture thinking combined with an organizer's attention to detail, that can lead to incredible results.
so it's like you're creating your own unique entrepreneurial recipe.
Exactly.
Right.
Blending those ingredients that will help you achieve your specific goals.
I love that analogy. Okay, so let's say you realize you're missing a key ingredient. Like, what if you're a great visionary, but not so good with the day-to-day operations? What do you do then?
Well, that's where the power of collaboration comes in. The course material really emphasizes that recognizing your weaknesses is just as important as understanding your strengths. It's about building a team that complements your skills and fills those gaps where you might need support.
So even if you're not a natural-born leader, you can still find success by surrounding yourself with people who are
Exactly. And the same goes for any of these personality types.
Okay, so it's about teamwork. It's about building that dream team.
It's about recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone.
And I think that's a perfect takeaway from this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
Like this whole exploration of entrepreneurial personalities.
Mhm.
It's not about putting you in a box. It's
Yeah.
about empowering you.
Exactly. It's about providing a framework for understanding the different approaches that can lead to success, the importance of self-awareness
Mm.
in navigating this crazy world of entrepreneurship.
So if you're out there and you're feeling inspired by what you've heard today, take that inspiration, turn it into action. Explore your own potential, discover your strengths, and don't be afraid to ask for help along the way.
The beauty of this journey is that it's a constant process of learning, growing, evolving. Embrace those challenges, celebrate those victories, and never stop exploring the possibilities.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into entrepreneurial personalities. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep creating.